I'm here live with Christina. Christina, how's it going?
Hello, everybody. It's going really well. Happy Thursday.
Happy Thursday indeed. I am so freaking excited today because we are going to be enabling GitHub discussions on the TypeScript ESLint repo. But Christina, do you want to tell the story? How did we actually meet in the first place?
Sure, absolutely. Yes. Josh, you and I met not too long ago on almost across the world in Berlin, Germany, and we were both at the Lead Dev conference. And we started following on each other on Twitter, and then we saw each other in person, I think like 30 minutes later. And it was awesome. And we had a great time, and we explored Berlin, and we saw lots of cool talks. And look at us, here we are now.
Yeah, it's amazing. I really miss the kind of in-person part of conferences when we were unable to do that because as hard as it is to meet people in real life, sometimes you just randomly see someone in a hallway who you just started following on Twitter 30 minutes ago. And I think we were doing a similar strategy of kind of like doing a loop to scout around. It was one of those magical universe moments. Very good.
Absolutely. I agree.
Yeah. By the way, I really liked the Lead Dev conference. I'd never gone to one before, and I thought they did a really good job of organizing. Also, the venue was freaking beautiful. It was all pink and blue lights around. I was really impressive.
I
How did
was
you
really
like it?
impressed with the auditorium space. And then, yeah, the lights, and there was like lots of other just decorations in there. It just looked really luxe. I agree. It was also my first lead dev. I had never been to a lead dev. And yeah, I thought it was lovely and learned a lot of things, met a lot of cool people, and the food was great, actually.
The food, yeah. It was like these little small things. I remember like little what was it? They
Little
had not
fancy
blintzes, but
small
like
things.
yeah. Other than my talk, of course, were there any in particular that you liked and got value out of?
Oh gosh. So that the first talk, I wish I remembered their name. The first talk I thought was like so expansive and covered so much. I'm gonna try to look it up right now. Um,
Ooh.
Sangita Honda, Scaling Engineering Organizations. I feel like she covered so much, and I was really impressed by that.
Awesome. Yeah, I actually missed the first few talks. I was flying in from another conference and was really bummed because it looked fantastic. That talk in particular, I'm very excited. Thank you for reminding me. I need to schedule to look at it once we get the recordings.
Yeah, totally. I'm looking forward to the recordings because there are some that I missed as well.
Yeah. That's one of the downsides of these multi-day conferences. I feel like it's just hard to see and do everything, especially if you're in social mode. My battery is not big enough for 48 hours of social networking.
Yeah, absolutely. I actually wasn't feeling super well, so I think I ended up missing some because I was very sneezy and I was just waiting for the applause to start so I can like blow my nose. And at some point, I was like, I need to get out of here.
Yeah, that's that's a very relatable situation. Yeah, I really liked the strategic leadership talk. Also, I thought both that there was a talk about how you can be strategic in leadership, meaning like have real goals, be clear in your objectives, key results, and so on. And I also thought the speaker was just very good. I forget their name. Looking it up now, but that talk made me
Yeah, I
happy.
actually missed that one. I can look it up because I have it open. Lena Reinhardt, is that who it was?
That's right. Right. Yes. Yes. Yeah. They were just a really good speaker. I was very impressed.
Cool.
But
Well, thanks,
cool.
Lead Dev, for a great time.
Yeah, lead dev. Woo. All right. It's 10:31. Anyone who was here early might have seen I pseudo intentionally slipped the rough agenda. I want to start now with around 10-15 minutes of introductions. I'll start because people watching may already know me, and I'm a simple person. I'm Josh. I'm a full-time open source developer. I don't work for any particular company. I work mostly on TypeScript ESLint. Finally, I will get off this default Google tab, which is the tooling that lets you run ESLint and, fun fact, prettier on TypeScript code. We are not TypeScript. Oh, that's a bug on. That's new. That's great. When did great. Yeah, so as that great moment when you're live on Twitch and you see a major UI bug on your site. That's lovely. But one of the things that I've been working on is now that I only started this around 8 or 9 months ago. Now that I'm full time open source, I'm able to do real work on the maintenance aspect of TypeScript ESLint. We have hundreds of issues, a few dozen pull requests, and a lot of these issues are kind of bigger things than just one issue. Like we have this RFC category where we have these deeper discussions, and it would be great if there's some way where you could have threaded discussions on GitHub, which brings me to GitHub discussions, what we're talking about today. And you, Christina, seem to have a special attachment to GitHub discussions. You want to tell us a little bit about yourself and how you got to be involved with them?
Sure. Yes, happy to. My name is Christina Entcheva. I am a staff engineering manager at GitHub as of about 7 months ago. And I work on GitHub discussions. Yes, I joined GitHub, started working on discussions, and obviously I am very biased towards discussions because I think they are awesome. And obviously we have kind of like a host of problems that we're hoping to solve for folks, and we're on that journey, and we love collaborating with maintainers and open source communities to make sure we're fulfilling their needs.
That is such a succinct, good description. Have you been practicing that in your day-to-day life?
No, no, but thank you. I'll roll with that if that sounds good to you.
Sounds great. And I'm just posting in the Twitch chat, which y'all should be able to see on the stream, links to TypeScript ESLint, Christina's Twitter, and the GitHub discussion docs. Can you give us like a 15, 20-second elevator pitch, maybe 30s? What is GitHub discussions compared to issues?
Yeah, totally. So GitHub discussions is a place to have kind of collaborative conversations. And whereas I think of issues more towards work items, right? So the goal of an issue is that it will probably turn into a work item and a pull request at some point. Sometimes in the maintenance of a community, you have conversations that may not turn into work items or may need more collaboration before they're able to turn into work items. And that's kind of one of the use cases where we think discussions can help. From a kind of higher level, we're hoping one of the goals of discussions is to like reduce the maintainer workload and reduce the burden of open source maintainers and allow the community to be a little bit more self-sustaining. And we see discussions as a place where folks can do that and can help onboard each other to using a tool, help answer questions for each other, things like that, and take some of that load off of the maintainers themselves who might want to be focused on more issue or NPR specific things. And then the other lens of it is discussions can be a place where folks who are interested in getting involved in open source but are not quite there yet can kind of hang out and like get more familiarity with GitHub and the project. Folks that might be, towards the beginning of their coding journey, not comfortable with issues and PRs, discussions is kind of like a safe place where you can like on-ramp onto some of the other areas of GitHub.
That's really interesting. I hadn't considered that second use case area of folks who are less familiar. Have you seen examples of this where people aren't quite ready for issues, but they are ready for discussions in the wild?
Yeah, totally. I mean, it's folks that are kind of earlier on in their coding journeys, like they might not be familiar with Git even, or comfortable enough with Git to be submitting pull requests, but they want to get involved somehow. And there are ways for folks to get involved in open source communities, right? There's like moderation opportunities or writing documentation. There's lots of things that people can still do if they're still learning how to code. And we want to kind of surface those opportunities. And we think of discussions as one way to do that.
Well, that's fantastic. I really appreciate that that's an actual target for y'all. I love it.
Yeah, totally. It makes me happy too, right? Because like I'm like, I transitioned into tech. Like I want to help like the next generation of folks get into tech who want to do that.
Ooh. That is a great transition to the last introduction topic I wanted to bring up. Who are you? How did you get into, I was going to say staff EM at GitHub on discussions, but I guess tech overall. What's going on?
Oh, sure. Who am I? That's a big question. Yeah, so maybe I'll like play it backward for y'all. I'm a staff EM right now. Before joining GitHub, I worked at Thoughtbot, which is a software consultancy, working in Rails mostly. I was at Thoughtbot for 5 years, had a great time there. And before that, I was a product manager and in product management leadership. And before that, I was a designer and in design leadership. So like I've done the product development cycle pretty much. But I love being in engineering. That's kind of where I wanted to be all along. I just took the scenic way there, I guess.
The scenic way. That's great. And I imagine you must have a lot of fleshed out experiences from working in those other roles that help inform you when you're working with them now, yeah?
I think so. Yeah, I do appreciate having all of that experience. It helps me be a little bit more cross-functional when I need to, and it helps me kind of consider different angles, right? So experience with design, it helps me be user-focused and advocate for the user consistently. Product experience helps me think big picture. And yeah, I think it helps me be overall a well-rounded individual.
That's good. That's good. Do you have any parts of discussions that you think have been particularly informed by your broad breadth of experience?
Yeah, it's fun. Um, I'm actually acting as interim PM on discussions right now, so very much in practice, stepping into the PM role and shaping what we think is going to be next there. We're looking at next really rounding out our moderation story and expanding the moderation capabilities that we have. So just like approaching that with a product lens has been very relevant since that's effectively what I'm doing for most of my day these days. But we do have a new PM who started this week, and we're very excited to get him onboarded, Abhinav, and pass the reins over to him very soon.
Oh, congrats! You got a hire. Yay.
Yes.
Awesome. Is there anything in particular you're excited about for discussions that's coming out soon that you want to talk about on the stream today?
So we do have category forms that we are looking to do some level of public beta for. Category forms, the TLDR on that is like they're very similar to issue forms, and they help you shape your discussion in the way that you would like your community to contribute in a helpful way. So yeah, you can use a YAML template and structure how you would like folks to submit their discussion, and that helps keep things on topic and make sure that like all the information is included for what you might need to have a fruitful discussion.
Awesome. I'm just showing off. By the way, I got on the beta for the I don't know if it's a beta, the new T. What do you call this? Code navigation? The new view? Really nice.
Yeah, cool. Awesome. Yeah, I'm also really enjoying it, so I'm glad to hear that you like it.
Yeah, it's I'm on a beta of the code navigation. I'm also seeing that issue forms have been in beta for a while. I like that you have been using betas as a company. I feel like a lot of companies just roll stuff out and then forget about it. It's nice to see you're still iterating on things and getting feedback.
Cool, thank you. Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm trying.
So on the right, I have a YAML file, which is, I don't have a fancy Chrome extension to show it nicely, so I'm just gonna open in code. So we have the YAML here that shows, there it is. Oop. I'm not used to Mac with a Windows mechanical keyboard. I've been traveling too much. Life is hard. So we have the YAML on the right, or we have, for example, like checkboxes with certain attributes. I've actually been meaning to switch this ID to a slightly better one. But each of these options that are marked as required with a label become these awesome labels, which as a maintainer, I really need this, because for a while before issue forms, we would have people post very not thought out issues in completely good intent, just not including information that we asked for, which would then take our time to respond to them asking for the information. And sometimes they wouldn't post what we actually asked for, and there'd be a whole back and forth. So I'm very excited that those are going to be available in discussions. But all right, is there anything we should go into or talk about before we actually set up discussions? Very exciting.
I think we can go into it. I just want to note that I noticed the checkbox you have here that I have searched for related issues and found on that match my issue. This is something that we are keeping our eye on discussions as well. So it's funny to see your checkbox here. It's hard to know when there's like duplicative things, right? So just taking a minute and just searching for a couple of the keywords in either your issue or discussion can go a long way in reducing duplication for maintainers in the community.
Yeah, for sure. We're not here yet, but we've been considering taking a page from the TypeScript book where they have this fantastic feature. They have so many issues. Like they've long since passed the 5K threshold of what shows up there.
Boy.
They don't actually use forms yet, which is, I don't know why not. Maybe they just haven't gotten around to it. But they ask people to explicitly list out the search terms that they searched for. So smart. So very smart.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah, which has actually forced me to remember, oh yeah, I should search for dupe issues, and then has actually prevented me from filing duplicate issues in the past. And I'm very much a power user of TypeScript, so I appreciate that they're still targeting me with this. But great.
Absolutely.
And I'll also note, I've been seeing people come into Twitch. Thank you all for coming. Feel free to ask us any questions you want on TypeScript BS Lint, GitHub, discussions, issues, open source maintenance, whatever you want. As long as it's a friendly question, we will answer in a friendly way. Be interactive, yay! Cool. So first up, I'm going to say the experience of going to settings and enabling discussions. I thought in my head, I just assumed it would be hard, but there's a checkbox and a big green button to set up discussions. Is that it? Are they set up now?
There's a checkbox. Yeah. I'm happy to hear you say that. I do think discoverability is something that we still are working on. So the fact that you were able to find it and turn it on and it was not painful to you is a good signal. I'm happy to hear that.
Yeah, I mean, it's I yeah,
It's
I mean
done.
it's
It's
harder
on.
to get easier than a checkbox. Yeah. Great. So I see here that you've got this nice starting text, optional customized comments below. Welcome. So we actually are on TypeScript BS Lint gonna likely keep this fairly limited. So I think this default checklist of stuff is okay. But I do want to add in notes. We're keeping discussions to just high level RFs or just deeper RFCs for now as we roll out the feature. Let us know if you'd like to enable topic areas. Like, what do people often use discussions for? Like product feedback, I'm guessing?
Product feedback is a big one. Q&A is also a big one if folks have questions about the product itself. And then we also have like a different discussion type that allows you to select answers as the official answer and things like that. Q&A is the second big one that comes to mind. Yeah.
Got it.
Polls is a feature if you wanted to poll the community for some sort of answer.
Ooh, I like this. We've had a few topics come up, like should we enable our slower but more powerful typed rules by default? So yeah, I like this.
No, that's a good one. It's a spicy question.
It
I
is
want
a
to
spicy
vote on
question.
that.
Do you have an opinion already? Am I putting you on the spot here?
No, I'm just kidding. I don't have an opinion already.
Darn.
I
was
want to know
hoping
what the community thinks, though.
See, that's why you're a staff EM, because you have the intelligence and maturity to go with the community and not just go with your gut, which is my default behavior.
There's a balance. There's a balance of both. Both are important.
Great. Oh, you used the confetti animation. I love it.
Yay, ta-da!
I actually have a strong opinion on confetti animations. I think for me, one of these signs that I like and respect a company is that they have, do you still call them delighters in the world? These like cute little optional things?
Yeah. Moments of delight.
Yeah.
Yep.
Moments of delight. I think that's incredibly important. I think it makes it more fun to use the product. It shows that the company cares about it. And I also think it shows that people who are making the product are having a good time, or at least can simulate having a good time effectively, which if I ever want to work with or for a company is huge. So good.
Absolutely.
Right.
I can say that I got genuinely excited when the confetti came, so it was not simulated in this case.
I love it. Oh, I also like that you pulled in from the repo metadata, the code of conduct, our website, and then you also have a link to our community metadata.
Yeah,
oh no.
Totally.
Red background.
Oh. Uh-oh. What happens if you reload? What if we do what they ask us to do? Oh no. Sorry to hear that.
You know, I'm not too
Fine.
upset about it as it's all going to be 0 at this moment. But good to know.
Yeah, let's see. Let's see what happens. Let's give it some time. Looking at a test org, one of mine is also red, so maybe there's something going on.
Oh, you sent me this link somewhere. Shoot.
I can send
What?
it to you again if it's what I think you're
Sorry.
referring to.
Yes, could you send me it on our Twitter DM and I'll. Is it okay if I post it in the Twitch thread?
Yes.
Amazing, thank you. So this is a test org that has discussion set up, and it's using the discussion templates you mentioned earlier. So we have this nice little YAML file, which I love that GitHub, by the way, renders these. So just some YAML, which then means that when someone files a new discussion, that's what I'm going to want to set up. You have, say,
Yeah, totally. And
RFC.
it works similarly to issue form. So whatever your category is named, then you just name your YAML the same thing, and it picks up on it.
Awesome.
And yeah, in this case,
All
I've
right.
created a new category that's called RFC. I don't know if you would want to do that for TypeScript ESLint specifically, but it could be one way to like share the intent of a category and then keep RFCs organized to one category if that is what you wanted to do.
Yeah. I mean, I'm thinking right now I basically just want RFCs. I don't want polls or Q&A, but I want to have the option to create them later. So
Yeah,
I guess I could just delete them
you could
now.
totally do that. Yeah, you can delete them and then you can just create a new one later if you wanted.
Cool. Alrighty. RFCs. Got to be able to edit that emoji. Ooh. Is
This
there a standard
is the hardest
emoji
part of the
people
whole thing. Is
use?
like, what is the emoji?
Yeah, I always search and then there's no RFC emoji. I don't know, maybe the thinking?
I chose the thinking one when I was playing around with this as well.
Nice. Nice.
You can add a description if you wanted to, which just like another signal for folks to orient themselves.
Yes, and I'm actually going to take a page from our labels to see what I previously put for the RFC label here.
Love
Come on,
that.
search. Okay. I'm not a big slash in descriptions person. I'll probably change this later, but this is fine for now. Cool.
Cool.
So, what I actually want to do now, I'm already there, is we have RFCs in existence, and I'd like to move all of these over to discussions. Is there like a mass move option of some sorts?
That's a good question. Not to my knowledge.
Okay, I'll just do it manually
How
for
many
some of them.
RFC? Oh, I see. You do have them open, right? So
16.
16.
Cool. I mean, it's fine to just move. Here we go. Convert to discussion. RFCs. Cool. Oh, that was fast. All right. Look at this. Is there a way to thread things that have already been created? By the way, because these effectively are a thread.
Oh yeah. No. That's an interesting. I'm gonna take a note on that one. Because that's also not the first time I've heard kind of a similar request. No, there's currently no way to like convert like a top level to a thread is what you're saying, right?
Yeah.
No,
That's okay.
but for someone who's a maintainer, I don't see why they shouldn't be able to do that. So I'm gonna make a note of that feature request.
Thanks. I have a history of asking for features. I like asking for things. This is good. This is not the reason why I brought you on here to pelt requests to you, but I appreciate you taking the note down very much.
That's okay. Certainly, like a big part of this is like looking for patterns, right? So when like multiple people ask for the same thing, it starts to like stick in your brain and it pulls it up in the queue for sure.
Yeah, for sure. Oh, by the way, one little UI note. I like very much that you explained the difference between issues and discussions right here, that they don't have milestones. Although, I feel like it would be nice sometimes to be able to attach a discussion to a milestone. Sorry to add another feature request. Because sometimes for us,
Mm-hmm.
just being able to decide something is like a key thing we want to put a deadline on.
Yeah.
All right, this is, you know what? I normally stream for an hour, hour and a half, and I worry that I'm not going to have an hour and a half of content here, but that's okay.
It's a good problem to have. We're just too productive today.
I know, I hate it when that happens. Cool. Also, I know numbers are often just vanity metrics, but I'm really excited for us to be under 300 open issues. For me, each 100 or 50 multiple is kind of a milestone, and I very much want to
Yeah,
hit them.
I'm the same way. Yeah, absolutely.
Cool. So while I while I just go through, and I believe the industry term is mechanical Turk these over to discussions, are there any notes you want to make on what I'm doing now? Any process improvements you think I could be making?
I mean, bulk being able to bulk move these over would certainly cut down the time that you're spending, or cut down on the mechanical Turk overall.
By
Trying
the
to
way,
think if like
did
that's
you?
something that I'm
Oh,
overlooking, but I can't think of a way how you would bulk move this.
cool. There might be an API. I haven't looked at into it. Is oh yeah, is there a discussions API yet?
Yeah, so we have a GraphQL API, and we've been noodling on a REST API, but that's still in kind of the conversation discussion stage. But yes, the GraphQL API does exist.
I feel like this might be a low hanging fruit question, but are you using GitHub discussions to discuss GitHub discussions?
We absolutely are, yes.
Excellent. I love it. All right, look
Yeah,
at
we try
this.
to
I
use as
think
many GitHub tools at GitHub. GitHub on GitHub is what we call it.
GitHub on GitHub. You used a term earlier, I think before the stream in our chat. The term referred to it being rolled out only to staff, like GitHub staff people. What is the term you use for that? Staff rolled out or something?
Staff ship.
Staffship. I really like that.
Yeah. I mean, we pretty much staff ship everything first. I think it's a great way to get like we have a ton of developers at GitHub, obviously. That's our core demo, so it's a really nice way to get internal feedback and polish things up before we push them out. This is like the debut beyond staff ship of category forms, so I'm very excited to be here and be showing category forms some love. But yeah, it's staff ship first, and then we do like some level of either a private beta, public beta, whatever that may mean.
Cool. I feel like my stream is perhaps less aplomb and fancy announcement than I was expecting, but I
No, that's okay.
thank you for letting
It's
me be the one.
what do they call it like at a restaurant? When it's a soft opening, you know?
A soft opening, yes. Yeah, watch me stumble and fail if there's anything to stumble and fail over, and then we'll roll it out. Yes. Can I change this background? I love this. Is really pretty. This is actually very similar to the lead dev colors, but is that a
Yeah, you're right.
customizable
It
notice
is.
up here?
It it is customizable. So if you can have like a pin discussion, why do I not see your pin? Oh yeah. So if you click on it, can you click through to that announcement? Oh yeah, on the edit pin discussion. Yeah, so you have like some options
Oh
here.
boy. Well, I got to go with the heart. There we go. Ooh, interesting. Very nice. Okay.
And then like
Cool.
some different gradients, yeah.
Do you have a favorite setup?
I'm partial to the green and the blue gradient. That one's my fave.
Oof.
And then I think it depends on what the topic is. If it's like a new feature or something, I use the lightning bolt. If it's like a team thing, I'll typically use the heart. So yeah, I got my own system.
Excellent. I'm I'm so sorry to bug report live, but I believe I've discovered
No,
a
do
bug
it.
and that
It's
I'm
a known bug. It's a known bug. Yeah, we got a visual
the
bug here
overlap.
where like yeah, clicking on the actual icon is like not selecting it, right? I think you have to click like lower left a little bit. So
Yes.
embarrassing. Yes, this is a known bug and we're working on it.
I'm so curious. I know GitHub does web components, and I've also seen vague tweets about perhaps React being in there. How is so? This page doesn't show for my React Dev Tools. Is this all web components?
This is all web components. Yeah, certainly. Yeah, we've got React in GitHub as well. So like the projects tab, we have like a new React powered like project management tool. We call it Memex internally. But discussions itself is all, yeah, Vue components and Rails. No React there as of today.
Very cool. Yeah, I'm a big React person, but I also love web standards, so I'm conflicted on the web components story. Is this something you've been paying close attention to on the GitHub side?
Yeah, I mean, like certainly we're having conversations internally about it. Like my personal opinion is like it just depends on the problem to be solved. I think React is really awesome for solving some problems and sometimes overkill and maybe not the right fit for solving other problems. So it really just kind of depends on what you're trying to do. And different parts of GitHub are solving different problems of different levels of complexity, right? So like I think it makes sense to have React available in some areas of GitHub and maybe less so others. That's like my high level personal take on it.
That's so interesting. I think a lot of companies, when they get started setting up their web platform and web platform teams, for context, I was on a web plat team, so my lens is very much through theirs. When you're small or mid-sized, it's very tempting to try to standardize everything. You know, one UI library, one implementation of all your design systems. But when you get bigger, you inevitably target such a broad surface area. It's no longer always possible or even desirable to have one standard solution for everything. So GitHub, it sounds like, has hit the point where one UI library or one UI solution might not always be best, and it's worth it to have multiple.
Yeah, yeah, it's interesting you say that. Like one obvious problem with my perspective is that you do have to maintain multiple front end paradigms, which is more debatably more work than maintaining one. Um, I think we're actually trying to get to the opposite place. So like we already today have multiple, and we're trying to get it to one, um, and working out the details of like what that might look like.
Fascinating. Do you know what that one is going to be?
It's still in conversation. I have an inkling about where it's going, but I don't want to say anything right now because we're still having conversations about it.
Darn, that was going to be our next question. Can you just tell me everything GitHub is doing over the next year with web components and React? Just spoil it all for us. Okay. Well, good luck. I hope the conversation goes where you want it.
This is something that's like doesn't have a super actually I don't know if that's true, but like it's still a conversation. So this is one like I don't want to preempt something that may not actually be set in stone yet.
Sure. I will leave this on the table. I'm my instinct is to grill you with all these questions, but I don't want to do that. That seems rude and hostile. But instead I'll say
let's do a follow-up and we can dedicate an hour to spicy front-end framework conversations.
oh my god, yes. Let's bring up Quick and Astro and all those things. I'm sure there's someone out there who has said the phrase, why hasn't GitHub moved to Quick or Astro? And we'll talk about that. I'd love it. But cool. In the meantime, I say let's set up those forums, that YAML. I love a good live coding on the air, and I'm really excited about those forums.
Me too. Can we just take a look at discussions real quick? And
yes.
So we've got the RFC category. Can you just click new discussion and see what that looks like?
Absolutely.
Cool, awesome. So this means that like the feature flag for category forums is turned on for you. Yay, it's live, it's out in the world beyond just GitHub staff ship. That's super exciting. So then, yeah, if you do get started, let's see what happens there. We don't have a YAML template that corresponds to RFCs. So this is just like the default discussions setup. But if you want folks to be more specific, obviously you can add a YAML template. So yeah, just wanted to confirm that you were in the feature flag, which you are. So yeah, you want to write some live YAML?
Love it. Cool. Is there so you did you just imply that some discussion topics by name do have a YAML suggestion for them?
Sorry, can you rephrase that?
Oh,
Not sure what you
oh,
mean.
I love that. I've noted some phrases recently people use. Like Kent C. Dodds recently described something as, "I'm glad that it's happening. It should be done, and I'm not the person who will work on it." And that's another really good phrase. Could you rephrase that? I like it. You just said that you don't have a template for RFCs. Does that imply that you have a template for other things?
No, not necessarily. No, there's no templates that like ship with um, discussions
Got
out
it.
of the box.
Okay.
Sorry if I
So in that
misspoke. Yep.
case, oh, that's okay. How would you recommend I go about setting up a new YAML file for this?
In this specific case, I did start one as a little bit of homework for this Twitch session. So I'm happy to have you use the one that I started and just amend that if that's easier.
That sounds great. All right. So
Cool.
we have, and I'm just gonna put the raw link in the Twitch chat for anyone interested. So it's under a. Let's see. I'm gonna enable word wrap here. That's not how you comment in YAML. Off to a great start. Okay, so it's under a .github/discussion template folder, and it's a file by the name of rfc.yaml.
I think
I just
yours
had
is
a beep
actually
go off on my end.
RFCs on your community
Oh,
with
you're
an
right.
S.
Ooh, is there a preference on either way? Should be
I
plural.
don't know if there's like an industry standard. I went back and forth on this yesterday and I started with RFCs and then I changed it to RFC. So that's like, again, my personal preference, but obviously it's up to you, whatever works for you.
Oh boy. I do hate going against the personal preference of someone who's helping with things, but if announcements is already plural and that's the standard, is it okay
Yeah,
with you if I go with RFCs?
of course it's okay with me. It's your community. However you want to do it, it's totally fine. I appreciate the
Nice.
standardization.
I'm I'm a sucker for standardization. I love it so very much.
Me
All right.
too.
So we've got RFCs. You know, we've actually seen a lot of people not fill out the your title here. I want to see if there's a is I would love yeah, here we go. This was I don't mean to put this person on the spot. Their issue was a good issue and I really appreciate them filing it. Like I actually mean it. Like we get very few people who post issues about the ESLint utils object that we export as an API, which viewers now don't have to know. But to this person, thank you for filing this issue. But sometimes people just leave that there. So I would
Yeah.
like a way to stop that. But that's a long-term future request, I guess. All right. Honestly, I really like the if I can oh shoot, I already lost the link. Okay. If I can show the rendered preview, like this is a good discussion template so far. I'm gonna remove impacted configurations because this actually just this would be if someone wants to discuss changes to a recommended rule set, which honestly we might end up
Mhm.
moving to discussions. Right now it's in issues. And actually, now I'm kind of getting excited about that because we have so many gosh darn issue templates in TypeScript ESLint. Do
Mhm.
you often see people ending up with a bajillion templates like this? Is it just us?
Yeah, no, it's not just you. Sometimes I've gotten to the point where I just like go to the bottom and I just start with a blank issue because it's so overwhelming. Um, you're definitely not the only one.
Great. I'm thank you for the validation. I haven't talked with the other maintainers, but I will bring this up as a I'll bring this up as a discussion at some point that we should maybe propose a change to preset configurations to discussions.
Cool.
That would be cool.
Yeah, I was also looking at this list for opportunities of like what might be something good to move somewhere else.
Yeah. Were there any others you think might be, in addition to this one, good? Nothing comes to my mind personally.
Yeah, that's the only one that comes to my mind at first glance.
Okay, cool. Let's go with it. So I'm just going to start with RFCs for now. Don't need to save that file. I've been thinking of what is the name that people or an ID that people normally use for the like, was it required checks or something like that?
I like that. Um, I like that better than what was there. So it seems like
Yeah.
a iterative improvement in the right direction.
Cool. Yeah, I'm going to write a blog post on this soon. I try to avoid phrases like sanity checks and other
Yeah.
things that, imply mental health. Cool. Do you, now the one concern I have now is we're asking people to search for related issues, but they should also be searching for related discussions. And I hate to add a second task is if we don't have to. Is there a way to search through both issues and discussions? Like a single link we can give them?
No, not that nothing comes to mind right now.
Okay, so I'll just duplicate. Um, and just checking this issue link here. Cool. I'm just gonna remove the label. I don't know that there's any particular.
Yeah, I just carried these over, just copy pasted from what you had in issues, so they
Cool.
need some adjustment.
My instinct, and please tell me if there's another instinct out there that might work better here, is to just remove everything and then add as we need. So like
Sure.
we can just say I've searched for related things and I have read the FAQ, and that's it.
Cool. And I like, oh, sorry. So you do have both. I have search for related discussions and for related issues. Certainly, as you're starting your discussion space, I think that makes sense. I wonder if long term, everything that we expect would already be on discussions that would be related. So we can just say only search for related discussions. But I think it makes sense, like
That's
as we're
great.
kicking off, to ask them to do both.
I like that. I'm gonna start taking notes here. Rose change rule configs to discussions. Start a discussion for this, and then like maybe crawl through old issues to be moved to discussions, things that really were RCs, and then eventually change search for related to just be discussions. Cool. I also, this is not actionable now, but I wonder, are users already trained to file discussions for things? Like, would someone just look for related discussions and then file a discussion that really should have been an issue? I think with enough coaching in the form of this is just an RFC, here is what an RFC is for, maybe not, but have you noticed any odd user behaviors in this area?
Yeah, so I don't see a ton of discussions that should be issues. I think sometimes it does happen. Um, I do see folks posting discussions that have been posted elsewhere. So I think like the duplication challenge does still exist. Does that answer your question?
I think so, yeah. That kind of validates me that I think this is fine for now, and soon we'll be able to remove the related issue search. Makes sense. Cool. And then actually, I'm realizing another move repo change to discussions, maybe. Because sometimes people ask for changes in the repository flow, like which labels we add, and that might need to be a discussion before an issue. You know what? This is getting me excited about discussions. This is good.
Cool. Happy to
Yeah.
hear it.
Yay. Now, one more feature request. Sorry, is there an extension that would let me preview this locally by any chance? You're smiling. Is that a request you get a lot?
I think I'm just smiling because I'm a smiley person. That's more of a VS Code question, right?
Yeah, it would be nice
You
to
mean in
preview
VS
this,
Code,
but
right?
or really anywhere. But yes, preferably VS Code.
Since that is not where I spend most of my attention. I don't know if that's a request that I imagine that seems quite reasonable. So I imagine it's a request that comes through, but I don't know how often. Um, and I don't know the answer. I'm sorry.
That's okay. I'll poke around after this. I honestly have never set up discussions before today, so this is very new to me. But let me just make the commit.
There's so
Git
many
commit
extensions.
chore.
I imagine there must be an extension that helps you do that.
If only there was some way for me to search through extensions. All right, searching now. GitHub. I really like the. Oh, I didn't install this computer. There's a GitHub PR and issues extension that lets you like do more stuff in code, which is nice. But preview form. I don't see one immediately, so you know what? I'll take a look at this thing later.
Okay, cool. I will put a pin in it to ask around.
Right, so chore add discussion template for RFCs. Cool. And of course, I'm gonna mark this as co-authored by. I do have your GitHub because it is created by you.
It's
here.
Entcheva. It's my last name. Yeah.
That makes it easy. I'm not following you yet. Fixed.
Oh, so rude. Just kidding. Just kidding. Oh, thanks.
You did co-author this. One would even say I'm the co-author and you're the primary, given that you actually made this thing.
I don't know. I copied and pasted. If that counts, then yeah, sure, I'm the primary author.
I really hope copying and pasting counts as authorship because my lines total would drop if not. Cool. All right, look at this. Beautiful. And I wonder if I view the file. There's no way to like preview the form on the website right here.
Yeah, no. Yep, I've run into this before. Where there was a problem with my YAML, but I didn't realize it until I merged my PR and just looked at it in the tree.
I've hit that. I'm also, so we talked about order and structure and standardization. I am one of those maniacs who alphabetizes everything. And I do mean everything. Have you seen people do what I'm doing now of alphabetizing things inside the YAML?
Not inside the YAML, but I appreciate the dedication. I do love a good sort, but I have not seen it to this level. Good for you. It makes things so much more maintainable as things grow. So I'm always in favor of it.
Love it. Thank you. My
I don't know who's
biggest
in
gripe
the.
is
I come from like the Ruby space, the Rails space. So I've certainly opened up route files or any host of things where gem files where it's just like I have no idea like where this would be. I just have to grep for it. So please alphabetize gem files, everybody.
Oh gosh, do people not alphabetize gem files?
Some do and some don't. Yeah, it's
Oh, no.
I've seen it all. You know, I think like that was, you know, coming from my consultancy background, like being a consultant, you see so many different ways that people organize their code and their projects. And yeah, you see some stuff.
That's a very polite way to describe what you've seen. You've seen some stuff. I've dabbled in consulting and I've had very good experiences pretty much across the board, but you do see some things. I think it's hard to go into a code base and especially focus on tech debt if that's what you're asking to do without having the personal story behind the tech debt. Do you feel like seeing that broad arrangement of things in consulting has shaped how you see code now today?
Yeah, definitely. And you know, even like just going back to like the pattern recognition, I think once you see a certain level of the same thing over and over, you just kind of start to internalize it, and it helps you like really quickly identify it. So whether it's like anti-patterns in design or whatever it may be, or even like good things, right? So like there's some positive things where you're like, oh yes, I have seen code bases do this and it's worked out really well. But you know, there's also like the empathy side. Usually, like if there's tech debt or, you know, some file is a total mess, like there's probably a good reason for that. And I like to remember like everybody's doing the best that they can with what they have at the time. So I think it's important to like keep that empathy in mind. And sometimes folks can come into a code base and be like, "What is this? This is a mess. Like, who worked on this?" And I don't think it's like the most empathetic lens. You want to always think about like what they, they're probably under a deadline, or there was like other external forces that like force this to be the way that it is now.
Absolutely. Absolutely. That's one of my biggest red flags, honestly, for an engineer or a developer or anyone in general, where you should understand why things are the way they are before you complain about them bitterly, and especially before you assign personal blame. Like that, just it's so disrespectful, I think, to assume you're as a first or near first reaction that, oh, someone sucks and now this is bad. Like that's such an immature
Absolutely.
way to look at things.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Something I wanted to. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Oh no. Just the last thing I was gonna say is like in the consulting space, like our goal is like to help those folks, right? So to help make it better and like really to give those folks the tools so that they can continue to improve it once we leave the team. So it's like more of a coaching opportunity that I think is something that I'm excited by as well.
Absolutely. Um, have you heard of Chesterton's fence by any chance?
That rings a bell, but I don't know what it is.
Okay, I did a deep dive on it. This was almost part of my Lead Dev Berlin talk. It's the idea that if you see something and want to remove it, you need to understand why it was put there in the first place. The
Yes, yes,
example.
yes.
Okay, yeah. The example is Chesterton was some old English philosopher. Now, I will note whenever you bring up someone from hundreds of years ago, there's some problematic things with them. So, don't take this as an endorsement of Chesterton the person. I just really like the idea of Chesterton's fence. If you were to suggest removing a fence, Chesterton would not allow you to remove that fence, even if it's in your way and annoying, until you explain why the fence was added in the first place, which I think is cute.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. There's a wise lesson in there for sure.
Yes. Also, a fascinating Wikipedia article on Chesterton, the person, which I'm just going to go ahead and.
Okay. I have some homework to do after this. Yeah.
Yes, I will say this is a little bit of a content warning, as Chesterton talked about religion and philosophy.
Yeah.
So, not required for
that
anyone.
Table of contents. Oh boy.
Oh, yeah. So, be warned. But one of my favorite things about history is seeing these nuanced characters who had both very positive and arguably very negative things about them, and being able to extract the two and see how they influence each other is very cool and sometimes emotionally difficult.
Yeah, absolutely.
Cool. All right, so I'm just gonna commit here, alphabetize all of the things. People say X all the Y, and I don't think a lot of folks realize that was an early stage meme. That was like a real internet meme back before memeing was popular. I'm too old for this world.
I'm old, so I've got the context.
Great. We both have youthful spirit in us, despite our material years. Great. You know what? I wish there were PR forms, but also I'm glad that I can just remove sets up discussion form for the. And this might be the first public repo to do so in the world. Is that accurate, would you say?
The first public repo that's not managed by GitHub, yeah. So we do use category forms on the community for GitHub, where folks come to like give us product feedback and things like that. But certainly the first non-GitHub public repo in the world, yes, and the universe.
Amazing. In the world. The universe, great. That is true. And you know what? I thought there was going to be a more related GIF that comes up when I search for "in the world" on Giphy, but maybe not. Maybe on Tenor. You know what? This is fine. This is okay. One of my other maintainers, Brad, shout out Brad, is real good about always associating a fun animated GIF with everything. Like on a lot of his pull request reviews, spinning view, and I've been trying to get in the habit.
Love that. Yeah, put a little whimsy into our work,
Yeah. the delighters. They're good.
Exactly. Moments of delight.
Yes. All right. I'm gonna
Cool.
mark this ready for
Exciting.
review. Cool. Yeah. Well, we've been here about 55 minutes. We started at 10:26 and now it's 11:22. The math is slightly off, but that's okay. Was there anything else that you wanted to show off with discussions that you think we should talk about?
I mean, I think for your use case, this is awesome. I'm super excited that y'all are turning on discussions. I'm super excited you're trying out category forms. I mentioned polls. I think polls are cool. I think the Q&A option is cool if you're looking for the Q&A format specifically. Um, this is the bulk of it. I'm excited for what comes next. Like I said, we're working on our moderation story, and we have a couple of other cool things in the pipeline. But just really getting more folks to discover that discussions is an option and try it out is also what we're focused on, because it's not like super discoverable right now, and it's not on by default. So just happy to share my enthusiasm today.
Awesome. So you've spent about let's say an hour for the sake of math, ignoring the pre-setup time, and you got one repo to do it. At that rate, how many hours would you have to spend to get all the repos on GitHub? Is that millennia? Hi,
Oh
Ryan.
gosh. Yeah, let's say it's millennia. Let's I don't
Great.
have off the top of my head what number of repositories there are on GitHub, but I'm sure I can find that out with a couple of clicks.
Now I'm curious. Also, thank you, Ryan, for saying hi in the chat. If anyone has any questions for me or Christina, now would be a great time to ask them. We'll probably leave in 5-6 minutes at the most. As of June, you've got 28 million public repos. So if I go back into my math years, let's see how many actual years is that? They don't even say how many years. Oh, that's 110 generations. Oh,
Oh, okay,
110
cool.
times 28. All right, good. Better get
We got
working.
time.
Yeah.
We can
By
do
the time you
it.
finish it. Yes. It's doable. All right.
And that's for public repositories, right? So we also have the private as well. So
Oh, yeah.
I think it's
wonder
at
if that...
200 million, right?
Oh, right. It did say. You read faster than me. I'm impressed. 83 million developers. That's wild. Do you ever just, as someone who works at GitHub, stop and think of how ridiculous your scale is as a percentage of the human race?
I do. This is like my first experience working at a company of this scale in tech. And I think about it quite often. Yeah. And like, there are different considerations, obviously, when you're working at this scale. So I often pause and think about like, wow, like there's a lot of people out there who are impacted by this. And it's exciting. It's exciting and a little scary, but mostly exciting.
Are there particular aspects of that you find exciting and or scary?
I mean, just like the typical like reliability and all of that kind of stuff, I think is availability. Those are the types of things I think about that are, not explicitly in the discussion space, but when lots of folks rely on your service, you want to be stable and reliable for them. So that's something like we're thinking about as a company and always trying to improve.
That makes sense. Yeah, honestly, I don't think I've seen GitHub. I mean, not to jinx it. Where's my ears? What to knock on? I don't think I've seen that much bad stuff with GitHub recently. I don't know of any downtimes that have been major in public for a little while. Nicely done.
Cool. Thank you. Yeah, we're working on it, and like it is like a big priority for us. So I'm happy to see some of that is coming through.
Cool. That's good. Yeah, there's a joke, it's from back in the day. If Stack Overflow goes down, we all stop working. But the actual, if it goes down, we stop working, I think is in fact GitHub. So good on you.
Yep.
Cool. Well, I'm going to just show everyone my stream manager because at this point, if we've got no other topics to bring up, the last thing to do is find a channel to raid. So if anyone has any suggestions, we should... I will never understand the stream manager on Twitch. They're all grayed out. There it is. So let's find a channel, ljtech.ca. All right. Well, Christina, thank you again so much for hopping on. I'm glad this was useful to you in some small way. This was incredibly useful to me, and I really appreciate it. So thank you.
Cool. Thank you for having me, Josh. Yeah, this was super fun. Thank you for trying out discussions, and like, please let's keep the conversation going. Obviously, we want to make it better for you and for all of open source. So thanks for having me, and thanks everybody for tuning in.
Yay. Oh, and before I forget, people can find you on Twitter while that process and service still exists at Christina ENT. Is there anywhere else that you'd like us to find you on?
Yeah, Twitter works. Poor Twitter. Twitter's been going through it. My email, I'm happy to share my email is Entcheva, my last name at github.com. So feel free to email me if you want, and we can chat about stuff.
Awesome. That's a very bold thing you did there, putting your your email on the internet. I respect you greatly.
Once again, like I'm old. I've been putting my phone number on the internet for like decades, and hope I don't jinx it. Nothing bad has happened to me yet, so.
Oh my gosh. That's so
I know.
intense. Wow.
I know. Yep, I go for it.
Good for you. Oh, Ryan notes, Jen Junot is one of my favorite streamers. It's a pity they're not streaming yet. We should have taken longer to set our things up. Then we'd be able to wait, Jen. But oh well. Next time. Bye for now.
Next time. Cool. Thank you. Bye.
Also, it takes 7 seconds for the raid UI to kick in. So 3 seconds more. Haha.